The boundless well of great family-friendly entertainment and media amassed by Disney in the 90s and 2000s with the aged spice of nostalgia and critic-proof marketing focuses its forces on continuing to be a lucrative investment for the Disney company. Critics will rave about the trailer not changing enough to merit a remake, the average moviegoer will tantrum over what they changed, all the while Disney gets to dust off another of their treasured heirlooms of quality animated films they made during the golden ages and parade them out around in the 20 years later for the next and old generation. The cycle continues with a slew of comments on how changes were made that were good or bad, and altogether the consensus being that the original was better, but the new take wasn't all that bad. Beauty and the Beast previously got the remake treatment and was given baffled praise and dislike in a somewhat divisive crowd that credited the animated original's aesthetic to the charm and wanted a lifetime production. In the end, the film grossed hundreds of millions for the company, and you can bet Aladdin won't be the last remake, regardless of how much your nostalgia for the animated version precludes you from your enjoyment of the new one. Aladdin's tale is relatively simple, yet strange. The premise of an all-powerful genie granting wishes to a poor boy or street rat in his journey of empowerment, then learning to be himself, isn't too tricky a premise to showcase. In fact, by today's standards, the story is rather dull. You're given a 90s afternoon sitcom or cartoon level of themes that on its surface would be harder to accept with real-life actors. The driving force of the plot comes with the world building and setting. The lively city of Agrabah and its elaborate spectacle help push the elements of the story. The closed-off Jasmine is locked away from the eccentric land and its citizens as she's kept in a palace wall. And that new movie does a decent job hand-waving her captive state as protective over some prior murder of her mother. The cartoon version leaves you to fill in the gaps and use context clues through visuals and expressions for the same issue to be inferred. Other elements, such as the talking parrot, which is a comic relief and essentially a plot MacGyver in the animated version, gets toned down for obvious realism, yet feels noticeably less fulfilling. There's a really give and take with the two films that center on the divide in how people perceive these films. The live-action version takes its time ramming up to the introduction of the genie. We are given more time for a chase and a musical number before skipping over some more noticeable cuts taken out of the animated film. The rush to bring Genie into the fray felt necessary since, without him on the screen, the new film doesn't have the popping excitement and animated visuals to entice your eyes. Glows from excited eyes can be seen in animated animals such as Abu, the monkey, looking into a jewel, but other characters such as Aladdin have to make do with noticeable plain acting among the void sets of green screen, sand, and CGI. The acting of the cast is passable and grows on you. I took the liberty of listening to a motion picture soundtrack several times to equal my hundreds of original Aladdin song replays and nights of personal carpet ride karaoke. Honestly, without the original to compare, the actors did a great job, but the original actors had the benefit of noticeably better intimate singing talents. Regardless, the new song additions and Bollywood-like dance numbers, along with modified lyrics, really liven up the new Aladdin production. I would bet if people listen to the new Genie songs, that they will eventually come to enjoy it as much as the older versions, given that there's just more lyrics placed into the song that add a human character to the genie. Another addition many will like or hate is the genie's interest in human behavior. Genie always came off as someone silly and good-natured, but the implications that he wanted to be anything but himself and free is off-putting. The enslaved element of the genie is even more sad given the new genie's human facial features were not completely computer-generated. Computer-generated genie was a point of contention for the trailers to say the least, since it falls into a uncanny valley and the irritating fake territory, but the actual movie fixes the issue by making it apparent Genie is a cartoon in a real world. He teleports and jokes around with materializing objects a lot less than the cartoon version, but he does enough antics that I stopped noticing the Genie's weird look and dad bod. The original Aladdin is also known for its great action set pieces. The Cave of Wonders escape with a crescent wave of flowing lava rushing after Aladdin as he flies on a magic carpet is redone in the movie with a quick and less thrilling take, mostly because you've seen the escape done with more cartoon visuals that left your imagination to fill in the perils in detail. The CGI environments and clean, crumbling rocks and dirt can't compare and come off a bit cheesy. Given the circumstances of needed heavy CGI and suspension of disbelief, every ride with the carpet either seems visually off when done slowly, such as in the A Whole New World segment, or too jumbled and frantic in the somewhat unnecessary bird chase, which replaces the likely harder to replicate giant snake in the original movie. Unlike the original movie, the bird doesn't serve much purpose than to fill time in action set-piece quotas, which the original snake was a constant reference and takes out the theme of Jafar's snake-like appearance and demeanor that is a foil to the rat that Aladdin was called as the prey in the film. Several themes are lost and replaced in transition to the new movie, and we gain insight into the lives of other characters besides Aladdin. Jasmine is given a divisive new song that points out Jafar and the Sultan's tendency to deny that a woman can lead and should be silent. Pushing further with other elements in the film, where Jasmine could take even more agency, would have been nice as well. But overall, the movie does a better job than the first in pushing that Jasmine is more than just a person sitting by waiting to be rescued, and that people who watch the television show or subsequent movies would also know about that. Jasmine is a strong and independent leader and often stands up and is arguably as worthy of entering the Cave of Wonders as Aladdin. Aladdin is a charming and pure-hearted person, and just as Jasmine, and is nonetheless ever more seamlessly transitioned on screen, even if it gets a little less inspired and more bland towards the characters trying to push their roles. When Genie or Jasmine or Jafar isn't around to bounce off of, there was little of interest about Aladdin, and even in the original films, he's a cipher for a run-of-the-mill hero. That said, we all love him in these character types for a reason, and this archetype works well in the hero's journey trope, and does fine to progress the story in Aladdin. Other characters are shortened for much personality, such as the guard being given a exposition from Jasmine on who he is, and his rough exterior not coming out naturally through dialogue or facial expressions as the original easily achieved. The other guards had little spoken roles in the original movie, yet found ways to express personalities. Each guard in the new movie is different, but I felt like they were all copied and pasted like an animated time-cutting technique from the original movie. The Sultan, which was a favorite side character in the original, comes off like a under control, boring, hypnotized version of himself, just like in the other movie, but his acting was lifeless and less enjoyable without the quirks of toying with tinkering toys and his childlike demeanor and his joy exhibited in his characterized tiny sultan body. The additional errand girl that is used for Jasmine to bounce off of and incentivizes the plot points in the Genie's arc is also nice, but rushed with a quick montage wrapping up their plot in stilted dialogue. I wasn't sure if the handmaiden was ill-spoken, nervous, or peculiar, and all that I could glean from the movie was that she never left the palace grounds and knows little about interacting with people. We'll never really know, I guess, unless there's going to be a sequel. Jafar was hit and miss, and for better reasons or not, his evil actions were tempted to be humanized, with him relating to Aladdin in his upbringing, but his delivery was mostly dry when compared to the original. His facial expressions seemed villainy, but his calm demeanor and a slow descent into his anarchy was, I guess, commendable. The attempt to weaponize his evil further as also being some man that makes passive-aggressive attacks about Jasmine needing to know when to be silent when he was already hated for, other words like know your place and other parts of the movie were kind of confusing and took me out a little bit. I would associate anyone as evil as Jafar as not really caring about being silent or commenting on the fact that a woman should know her place. The film seems to suggest that he is following a habit that many of the males deemed acceptable, since no one tries to look shocked or put off by his comments. Additionally, the film may be making statements about the unofficial time period and the roles of women. Overall, this subplot will likely work as well with other plot points that Disney movies have done in the past that no longer work well for some audiences. The movie attempts felt too straightforward and telegraphed as a bad thing Jafar did, as the song interjected and immediately spelled out the theme, which was already obvious. Fortunately, the ensuing song worked even if the visuals and other elements did not. Other divisive elements, which stem from the 90s fascination with marriage and love at first sight, continue as Jasmine and Aladdin never hesitate in their love for each other. There's not a hard way to surpass this because it was in the original film. The emotions are played up way too quickly and they're infatuated with each other almost instantly. Your mileage may vary, but often their chemistry has been palpable and you couldn't help but root for them. Each scene with the two was melting with charming shots and dialogue about their lives and learning about each other's inner emotions and dreams. The final key points that push the film are the lively city that filmed in some authentic looking locations. Actual sandy dunes were used along with camels and an atypical clothing designer who is on par with the fantastic colors and outfits seen in movies like Black Panther, but for a more Arabic setting. The city, while noticeably tiny in some close-ups, gets brought up to scale with a delicate balance of CGI and sets a real place amongst a lot of newer, fantastic computer-generated elements in cities today. With scenes like the water assault foreshadowed with the large overlooking lake off to the side of the palace walls and early aerial shots of the land, and other parts where the entirety of the city is seen from its faraway landscape, the new movie did a phenomenal job of scaling and sizing up everything in the city, from the less impressive, dried out, sandy looking original. The music is point of contention, but you could not go wrong with the classic tunes that the story is filled with, because they're just fun, fantasy elements that are catered around the plot, about love, being true to yourself, breaking traditions, and friendship. It's a movie that was adapting great source material and was always a special adaptation of the already classic Arabian Night Tale. You're not missing much if you can fast forward to a key song and a few funny dialogue scenes with Genie. It's hard to place this movie among fans since you can't go in with the same expectations as the original. Yet, non-fans may find they don't see all the magic your nostalgic child brain remembers about a boy's journey for a princess. The movie is great for a gathering of people to see with the old songs and dance numbers brought to life, while the new generation tries to rebrand this as their classic, as we did with the 1992 version that wore out its tape in our VCR. The old Aladdin had its time to shine, and the new version isn't a bad replacement. Just don't go wishing for another one too soon.